Her name has been an insult for 3,000 years. Say it in almost any language and people understand what it means without explanation. A woman who manipulates, who corrupts, who uses power without a conscience, and removes whatever stands between her and what she wants. But names that turn into curses belong to real people. And real people have a world they were born into and choices they made inside that world. Jezebel was a Phoenician princess who became queen of Israel. She arrived in a foreign country with her own gods, her own priests, and her own understanding of how power worked. And she went about reshaping an entire nation, methodically, without hesitation, without apology, into the image of what she believed. She was not confused about what she was doing. Nobody pushed her into it. She chose it. Every step, every tenth. This is what happens when someone with complete certainty about their own vision of the world gets the power to make everyone else live inside it. To understand Jezebel, you need to understand the man she married. Ahab was king of Israel, the northern kingdom, 10 tribes, capital at Samaria. The Bible's verdict on him is short and blunt. Ahab, son of Omri, did more evil in the eyes of the Lord than any of those before him, more evil than anyone before him. In a list of kings that included some genuinely bad rulers, Ahab was at the bottom, but the text immediately tells you what pushed him there. He considered it trivial to commit the sins of Jeroboam, and then he married Jezebel, daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, and began to serve Baal and worship him. Considered it trivial. The corruption that had defined the northern kingdom for generations. Ahab looked at that and decided it was the floor, not the ceiling. Then he brought home a wife who had no floor at all. Jezebel came from Phoenicia, the coastal cities, Tyre, Sidon, wealthy trading centers, culturally powerful, deeply committed to the worship of Baal the storm god, and Asherah his consort. She did not arrive in Israel and practice her religion quietly. She came with an agenda. 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of Asherah installed at the royal table, and a systematic campaign to find and kill every prophet of the Lord in Israel, one by one, wherever they could be located. This was not religious tolerance running the wrong direction. This was a replacement project. A deliberate attempt to remove the God of Israel from the national life of a nation called by his name. Ahab built a temple to Baal in Samaria, made an Asherah pole. The Bible says he did more to provoke God than every king of Israel before him. Behind all of it, organizing it, funding it, driving it, was Jezebel. God did not leave Israel without a witness. His name was Elijah, a Tishbite from Gilead, rough country east of the Jordan, nowhere near the centers of power. He enters the text with almost no introduction, the way things that matter sometimes arrive. He simply appears and speaks. He walked into Ahab's presence and told him there would be no rain in Israel until Elijah said otherwise. Then he was gone. God hid him. First at the Kerith ravine, fed by ravens. Then in Zarephath at a widow's house. 3 years of drought across the land while Jezebel hunted prophets and Ahab searched for Elijah, and the rain stayed away. 3 years. Then God told Elijah to go back. Ahab saw him coming. Is that you, you troubler of Israel? I have not troubled Israel. You and your family have. You abandoned the Lord's commands and followed the Baals. Then Elijah proposed something that had never been done before. Gather all Israel on Mount Carmel. Bring the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table. Mount Carmel, a long ridge above the plain of Jezreel, visible for miles. The whole nation watching. 2 bulls, 2 altars. The prophets of Baal call on their God. Elijah calls on his. Whoever answers with fire, that is God. The people standing silently between 2 options said nothing. Elijah said, if the Lord is God, follow him. If Baal is God, follow him. Not a word from the crowd. The prophets of Baal went first. They called from morning until noon. Nothing. They danced around the altar. Nothing. Elijah started mocking them. Shout louder. Maybe he is thinking. Maybe he is busy or traveling. Maybe he is asleep. They shouted louder. They cut themselves until the blood ran. They kept going until the time of the evening sacrifice. Nothing. No response. No one answered. No one paid attention. Elijah called the people over. He repaired the altar, 12 stones, one for each tribe, dug a trench, arranged the wood, cut the bull and laid it on the wood, and then did the thing that made no practical sense: fill 4 large jars with water and pour it in over the offering and the wood. Do it again. Do it a third time. Water ran down and filled the trench. Then he prayed, "Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, that I am your servant, that I have done all this at your word. Answer me, so these people will know that you are turning their hearts back." Fire fell. It burned the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, the salt. It licked up every drop of water in the trench. The poplar fell on their faces. The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. The 450 prophets of Baal were taken to the Kishon Valley and killed. Rain came. The drought was over. 3 years of Jezebel's program answered in one afternoon on a mountain with soaked wood and a prayer. Ahab went home and told Jezebel everything. Every prophet killed. The fire. All of it. Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah. "May the gods punish me severely, if by this time tomorrow I have not made your life like one of theirs." Read that carefully. She had just heard that fire fell from the sky in response to Elijah's prayer. She knew 450 of her prophets were dead, and her response was to send a death threat by morning. This is the most consistent thing about Jezebel across the entire story. She was not afraid. Not of the fire, not of the God who sent it, not of the man who called it down. She took in everything that happened on that mountain and concluded, "I will kill him by tomorrow." Elijah ran, all the way to Beersheba, then a day into the wilderness. He sat under a broom tree and told God he had had enough. "Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." The man who had just watched God consume a water-soaked altar with fire was asking to die under a bush because Jezebel had sent him a message. That is not weakness. That is what sustained, targeted terror does to a person over time. The victory on Mount Carmel was real. The collapse afterward was also real. One woman with total power and no hesitation was enough to undo a prophet who had just seen the fire of God. God sent an angel. Twice. "Get up and eat. The journey is too long for you." He fed Elijah, gave him water, let him sleep, then sent him 40 days south to Horeb, the mountain of God, where he spoke to him not in wind or earthquake or fire, but in a quiet voice, and asked, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Jezebel's threat had driven the greatest prophet in Israel to hide in a cave at the far end of the wilderness. That is the kind of power she had. Not because she was right, because she was willing to go further than most people ever will. Later, there was a vineyard. It belonged to Naboth the Jezreelite, right next to Ahab's palace in Jezreel. Ahab wanted it for a vegetable garden. He offered a fair trade, a better vineyard or the full price in silver. Naboth refused. "The Lord forbid that I should give up the inheritance of my ancestors." This was not stubbornness. Under Israelite law, ancestral land was not ordinary property. It was inheritance, identity, connection to the covenant and to the family line. Naboth had every legal and religious right to say no. Ahab went home, lay on his bed, turned his face to the wall, and refused to eat. Jezebel found him like this. "What is wrong?" He told her. "I asked for Naboth's vineyard and he said no." Her response tells you everything. Is this how you act as king of Israel? Get up and eat. Cheer up. I will get you the vineyard. Not, find another piece of land. Not, the law says he can refuse. Not, we cannot force him. I will get you the vineyard. She wrote letters in Ahab's name, sealed them with his seal, and sent them to the elders and nobles of Jezreel. The instructions were precise. Proclaim a fast. Seat Naboth in a prominent place. Put 2 men opposite him who will testify that he cursed God and the king. Then take him out and stone him." The elders and nobles did it. Every step, they proclaimed the fast-seated Naboth, brought in the witnesses, heard the testimony, took Naboth outside the city, and stoned him to death. Then they sent word to Jezebel, "Naboth is dead." She told Ahab, "Go take the vineyard. He is dead." An innocent man, killed through a legal process that Jezebel built from nothing using her husband's name and her position. False witnesses. A manufactured religious ceremony. Community leaders with enough fear of her to execute an innocent man in front of the whole town. Every form correct. Everything rotten. Ahab went down to the vineyard. God spoke to Elijah, "Go to Ahab. He is in Naboth's vineyard." Elijah went. Ahab saw him. "So you found me, my enemy. I found you because you sold yourself to do evil. Disaster is coming on you. I will cut off every one of your descendants, and dogs will eat Jezebel at the wall of Jezreel." Specific, the wall of Jezreel, the city where Naboth died. Dogs. Ahab tore his clothes when he heard it. He put on sackcloth, fasted, went around quietly. And because of that, God delayed the judgment on his house until after his death. Not Jezebel's. Hers held. Ahab died in battle. An arrow found the one gap between the sections of his armor, and he bled out in his chariot as the sun went down. Dogs licked up his blood from the floor of the chariot. Years went by. His sons ruled. Then a military commander named Jehu received a word from a prophet. He was anointed king of Israel and given a specific task: destroy the house of Ahab. And he was told, "Dogs will eat Jezebel at Jezreel. No one will bury her." Jehu drove his chariot hard toward Jezreel. Word reached Jezebel that he was coming. She did something unexpected. She put on eye makeup. She arranged her hair. She went to an upstairs window and looked out. What she meant by it, the text does not say. Defiance, performance. A last attempt to make herself worth keeping alive. Nobody knows. The Bible just reckons what she did. She looked out and called down to him, "Have you come in peace, Zimri? You murderer of your master?" Zimri was a king who had killed his predecessor and lasted 7 days before being overthrown. She was not asking for mercy. She was throwing an insult at a man who had come to kill her. Jehu looked up. "Who is on my side?" 2 or 3 servants looked down at him from the window. "Throw her down." They threw her. Her blood hit the wall and the horses. Jehu drove over her with the chariot. He went inside and ate and drank, and then said, "Go and bury her." She was a king's daughter. They went out to bury her. They found only the skull, the feet, and the hands. The dogs had taken everything else. The word of Elijah, spoken years earlier in a vineyard, had come to pass exactly. At the wall of Jezreel. The dogs. 4 things stay with me. The first, power without conscience does not stop on its own. It has to be stopped. Jezebel did not begin with Naboth. She began with the prophets, then national religion, then one man's vineyard, then a death threat to the greatest prophet in Israel. Each step was available to her because the one before it had gone unanswered. Power that has learned it can do anything does not choose to stop. Something outside it has to. The second, using the forms of faith as tools of control is not faith. The difference matters more than it seems. Jezebel organized a fast to frame and kill an innocent man. She used the structures of religious community, the gathering, the testimony, the formal procedure, as the machinery of murder. Every form was correct. Everything it was supposed to mean had been gutted and replaced. This is not only an ancient problem. The structure of religion can be kept intact while everything inside it has been swapped out for something else entirely. The third, the people who carry out what they know is wrong become part of it. The elders and nobles of Jezreel got Jezebel's letters. They understood what they were being asked to do. They did it anyway. Found the witnesses. Ran the proceeding. Sent back the confirmation. Each one made a choice, not to follow a law they believed in, but to do what the most dangerous person in the room required. Jezebel needed people willing to execute her instructions. She found them. That is always how it works. The fourth, God saw what happened in that vineyard and did not forget it. Naboth's death had the king's seal on it, official witnesses, a formal verdict. Anyone watching from outside would have seen a legal process reach a legal conclusion. But God saw the letters being written. He saw the false witnesses take their seats. He knew what was in that vineyard before Ahab's feet touched the ground. And he sent Elijah to say so, out loud, in the vineyard, to Ahab's face. No injustice is made less unjust by the paperwork around it. God is not confused by official language and proper procedure. He saw Naboth. He did not forget him. The wall of Jezreel. The dogs. Exactly where Elijah said. Nothing done in the dark stays there.